I took a year out between school and uni. I deferred for a year. Napier were really good. They said that's no problem at all. So I think when you apply for Napier, it gives you an option to defer for a year. So I took that option. So your place is ready. I had an unconditional place ready for me to come back to, which is great. And put your mind at ease. You can really travel, explore, discover for a year, and you know you've got something secure to come back to. Where have I been? I haven't been to Africa properly. I've only been to Northern Africa, so I'd quite like to explore Sub-Saharan Africa. But I've visited Asia 5 times, like Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, down to Borneo, and then Australia I've visited a few times. The States, obviously, the Pacific Islands, Dubai, India, but not that much of Europe. I've never been to Italy. I've been to Paris, but nothing else. I haven't been to Wales. I mean, even Scotland I haven't explored properly. So it's not all jet set, high flying places. You know, some of the best places in the world are on your doorstep.
How did you fund your traveling? Did you work as you went, or?
No, I haven't worked anywhere abroad. You have to work really hard before you leave. People think they can afford the airfare, so they can afford the holiday. That's really not the case. The airfare is very often a large part of your total expenditure, but it's by no means the only part. For example, if you're flying out to Thailand, you expect to pay maybe 450, 500 pounds. Even though living is cheap out there, it still adds up. If you're going out for a couple of months, you will be eating out. Most days you need accommodation every night. Experiences, like there's nothing worse than going to an amazing country and not being able to experience anything. If you want to do that bungee jump, you want to go whitewater rafting, you want to go to the island that needs a boat chartered, you need to have the money beforehand to pay for those things. Otherwise, there's no real point in heading out there if you can't enjoy yourself. So work hard through the winter, part-time job, put some money away, be disciplined. Say no to the Starbucks coffees, bring your own thermos flask. It's lame, but it'll save you money. Definitely have money before you leave.
Do you like to do your traveling on the cheap?
Yeah, but I like to splash out as well. When we were in Chicago, we were in a really rough hostel. I mean, it was safe, but it wasn't glamorous. But the money that we saved in not staying in a formal hotel allowed us to go for a slap-up lunch on the 96th floor of the Sears Tower. And we had like salmon and steak and wine, and we had a window seat overlooking the lake. It was incredible. So it's those sort of experiences that you can afford if you do tend to travel on the cheap. Some people like to go first class all the way, and that's obviously going to cost you more. But Asia is a nice example because you do get to live quite a nice lifestyle for not very much. I mean, a typical hotel in Cambodia, £5, £6 a night. That'll be a double bed, air conditioning, hot shower. You have a TV with the BBC on it if you want it, not that you would ever want it. But they still think they're ripping you off. That's the fantastic thing. Like when you give them your money after maybe 4-day stay, it'll be 4 nights. That might equate to £17, and they'll count all the dollar bills and they won't be able to believe it. Like, ah! And they'll have a little laugh, putting their money in the till, thinking they've ripped you off. But it's really, really cheap out there.
Do you go traveling independently, or have you gone with people, like when you took the year out, just go on your own?
I would have not had the guts to go on my own for my first trip. I was quite fortunate. I found a friend who was in a similar sort of situation, didn't quite want to start university, was willing to work for 6 months and then travel for a further 6. That would obviously bring you back around to 12 months and you'd be ready to start uni. So I travelled with him. But you soon realise when you're in hostels, when you're travelling, there are a lot of very, very similar people who are travelling on their own who are just so friendly. And everyone is young and free and looking for a good time. So it's really easy to find people to travel with. So all subsequent trips, with the exception of one, have been on my own. But they haven't really been on my own. On paper they are, but almost as soon as you step off the plane, even on the plane sometimes, I've met people coming into land in Cambodia. A guy tapped me on the back, asked to borrow a pen to fill in the visa cards. And it turned out he was from Italy, but he'd worked in Aberdeen for a long time. He lived in Aberdeen for a long time. And we traveled around Cambodia for 2 weeks together. Just because he tapped me on the shoulder, asked me for my pen. They're the kind of That's not a rare story. That's fairly commonplace. You see like 20-year-olds with massive backpacks, looking bewildered, like wandering through streets with cows in them and babies offering you books and things. You know, it's incredible. You stand like a sore thumb, even though you think you're an experienced traveler. The fact that you're Caucasian and you've got a massive backpack and you're sweating buckets and you're looking for a beer means that you're usually quite easy to spot. And there are kind of touristy pubs and things where you'll find other backpackers. So my advice would be, by all means, don't be afraid to travel. If you are a little apprehensive like I was, find someone who's in a similar position, but you'll soon realize that your fears were unfounded.
What makes you want to continue traveling and go back?
You discover something new every time. You discover new people every time. It's the experiences that you can't pay for. Like you'll stumble across something incredible. You'll meet some incredible people. It's the unknown. The unknown. Like, no two trips are the same. I've visited Vietnam 3 times, and although I've been to some of the same towns on 2, if not 3 of the trips, you discover completely new areas. The people you're with completely change your trip. It's the unknown, just getting away from it all. Because university is not quite 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, but there is a certain degree of kind of rat race about it. So to just leave all of that behind, all of your worries, know that you've got 2 months to explore new cultures, new people, new places. It's good for mind, body, and soul. And it's good to look forward to as well. Like, this year's not a great example, but all previous years, I booked my trip in January, flying out May, June time. So it gets you through the winter months. You know you've got something to look forward to. All the exams and assignments, they're all leading towards 2 months in the sun.
So, finally,
yeah.
Why should people not be scared to go travel and just go and do it?
Yeah, just go do it. I mean, half the battle is if you've got that feeling in your stomach, oh, I'd really like to go to anywhere. And it doesn't have to be Asia or Australia or America. If it's Europe, Europe's very expensive. That's what I would say. Very, very expensive. You can spend in 2 weeks in Europe, you can survive for 2 or 3 months very comfortably in Asia, and usually at a higher standard. You'll be slumming it in a meager hostel in Europe where you can get a private hotel room in Asia quite often. But yeah, if you've got that feeling in your stomach, don't repress it. Let it out. Speak to people. You'll probably soon find people who are in a similar position. They've got a real lust for travel, but they don't quite know where to begin. Travel agents, STA Travel, are very, very good. My advice would be, look online, find the dirt cheapest ticket possible, print it off. They guarantee to match the price, and if they can't match it, then they'll give you it for free. But in reality, they just take a couple of pennies off just to make sure they've got the price matched. But they will talk you through everything. They will explain everything, answer any questions, because they are focused on young people and young people's travels. So if you're just walking off the street, ask for a flight to Bangkok. They won't be the cheapest, but look online. Look at the Skyscanner, is a great website. Find your cheapest price, print it off, bring it in, and they'll find an option for you. So speak to people, gather as much advice as you can, and just make the jump. It'll be the best decision you ever make, I promise.